Hi, I'm Mike Knoll, and today is January 2nd, 2025. I'm in sunny but slightly cool Texas, USA. This is the third video in the 8 Discipline series. If you haven't seen the first two videos, you might want to go to my YouTube channel at QualityMike84 and watch D1 and D2. So the topic today is D3, contain the problem. So at this point in the 8D process, in D2, you have defined the problem, maybe even added some descriptive information, and in D1, you've formed your team. And maybe even before that, you have some meta processes in place on how your particular organization is going to do 8D process. So the step D3 is where you address the effects of your problem and stop it from spreading and causing more harm. We often call this slapping a Band-Aid on it or stopping the bleeding or something like that. You get the metaphor. So containing the problem includes creating a containment plan, implementing that plan, and then verifying the individual actions. Because 8D is methodical and fact-based, you're going to develop a plan with specific actions and specific follow-ups that verify those actions were completed. Finally, retain evidence of the verification. In order to develop an effective containment plan, you will need to determine the extent of the problem. Does this affect one area, one process, one production line, or is it more widespread? If the extent of the problem is beyond the scope of the team, and that does happen sometimes, part of your plan will be to notify other areas that have exposure to the same problem. Now, some of the immediate actions may have already been done before the team got to D3 or got together. The production line may have been temporarily shut down and adjusted. The floor supervisor may have reiterated proper procedures, or a temporary fix or mitigation may already be in place. Maybe they're doing 100% output inspection instead of sample inspections. In this case, you document these in your containment plan and then follow up to verify that these were done effectively. Now, if the process you're looking at provides input to another process, determine what you'll need to do to make sure those inputs, which are outputs of your process, don't create problems downstream. Now, these inputs or outputs, depending on your point of view, can be parts, they can be intermediate assemblies, it could be information, it could be computer files or chemical compounds, or something else. In any of those cases, we don't want the defects created in the process we're addressing to introduce problems further down the line. After all, problems are easier and cheaper to fix the earlier you catch them. So, if you have shipped or delivered a non-conforming product, your containment plan will include alerting the customer, especially if there's a life safety hazard involved. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that food, pharmaceuticals, and medical devices are outside my area of expertise, so I'm not going to go into detail on how to handle that. I encourage you, no matter what industry you're in, to have some plans in place to handle contingencies like this. But remember, this is not solving the problem. We don't have the true root cause determined yet. So resist the temptation either to jump to final containment action or to delay the containment while you look for the best solution. This is where you stop the bleeding, and this metaphor is apt because you don't want your patient to bleed to death while you diagnose the root cause of the problem. So, once your plan is created, then you implement it. Assign responsibility for the action items in the containment to people on your team and give them firm due dates. Also, make sure the follow-up for each action item is clearly defined, and also assign responsibility, again, with firm due dates. And then finally, you want to document and retain evidence that the containment actions were done, followed up, and include that documentation in the 8D package. So to recap, when you finish with D3, you will have determined the extent of the problem, and if necessary, communicated internally and externally where there's exposure to the problem, created a plan that will address the effects of the problem. You will have determined specific follow-up actions. You will have assigned responsibility for the actions, including follow-up, with firm due dates. And lastly, and not leastly, you will have retained objective evidence that the problem has been contained. And that's what I've got for D3 for you today. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Mike Null on YouTube. I'm at QualityMike84. On LinkedIn, I'm one Michael Null. Thanks again, and remember to help someone today and make all the good things happen. Goodbye.